We present another chapter of a long-time rivalry that needs no explanation, no superfluous adjectives. We come to you from the Royals Athletic Center at Hopkins High School for one of the top rivalries in the Lake Conference and the state of Minnesota. The Hopkins Royals and the Wayzata Trojans do battle for the second time this season in conference play, likely the second of 3 meetings with sections looming soon. Greetings, everyone. I'm Mike Beaton. Here I am all by myself talking to myself. That's Chaos Theory. Hopkins Wayzata, a rivalry that has brought big crowds in past years, wonderful talent. This year is no exception, even though the storyline is a little different. There is one thing these two have in common, actually a couple of things. Both Hopkins and Wayzata have just one senior on their roster, and they are the only 2 schools to defeat Minnetonka in conference play, which took place in the same week. Hopkins got Minnetonka, and then Wayzata beat them a few days later. The first meeting between these two was close until Hopkins pulled away late with free throws. We'll see what happens tonight, but odds are this will be another prelude to a potential section clash. For Hopkins, at the start of the season, everyone was wondering how they would fare without a star-studded lineup of Division I talent in their starting 5. A couple months later, I think it's safe to say they have done quite well. A lot of newcomers who were waiting in the wings for their moment have cashed in and capitalized on the initiative, the opportunity they have been presented with. Of course, you still have the all-around talent that is Liv McGill, and I say all-around because when it comes to scoring and distribution, she is nearly unmatched. Liv, with 3 30-point games this season, never had a 30-point game before until this year, and earlier this winter was announced to the roster for the McDonald's All-American game, the 4th girls basketball player in Hopkins history to get that honor, joining the likes of Maya Naji, Paige Beckers, and Nia Coffey. Some of the newcomers that we spoke of, or I should say more accurately, players who had been watching and learning, Lauren Hillesheim, Tatum Woodson, and Irma Walker all have put in some pretty impressive credentials throughout the season. Ava Cupido, another player who came over for Minnehaha, she's out tonight due to illness, but they have all come together, they're gelling, and that is why they sit at 21-2 and remain at the top in Class 4A in a year where everyone thought they might fade a bit. Wayzata 17-6. They've been a little more up and down, but over the last couple of years, they've been getting it done by committee. No big superstars like Hopkins with Liv McGill or even Mara Braun as a senior, but they have a boatload of all-around athletes. You've got a few crossovers from volleyball. You've got a couple more from soccer, and there's even a national equestrian champion athlete in their roster. So that tells you just how versatile this Wayzata team is, and they will always grit it out no matter who the opponent is. The double-digit scores for Wayzata, Sophie Hawkinson and Kate Amelotte. They may not light up the scoreboard the way other players do, but they can get it done, and Wayzata, over the last several years, has hung in there with the Lake Conference powers, including Hopkins. What they don't have is a state tournament appearance to show for it. And because Wayzata and Hopkins are in the same section, one of those teams gets sent home early. We won't know which team that is until we get to March, but for Hopkins, this begins a grueling finish in the regular season with Wayzata, St. Michael Albertville, and Minnetonka in consecutive fashion. Needless to say, these two teams should be primed for another deep run in the postseason. We'll be back for the starting lineups. You're watching high school girls basketball. Twin Cities Sports Broadcasting, and a whole lot more. That's what you get from TSB Television. We provide long-lasting digital coverage of your favorite athletes from the preps to the pros. Dazzling moves. Holloman, good if it goes. Yes! Game winners. From James. She's in trouble. Finds James. Toss shot. It goes in. and everything in between. Before we let you go, do you want to say hi to anybody?
Oh, I don't know. That put me on the spot there.
If you want to connect with our audience, visit us at patreon.com/TSB Television or sponsor our coverage through PayPal and Cash App. Thank you for watching. Welcome back to the Royals Athletic Center. The starting lineups are being introduced as we speak. Wayzata 17-6, Hopkins 21-2. As we said, this is the second of two conference meetings and likely the second of three, as has been the case for several years. In the first meeting, Tatum Woodson led Hopkins with 20 points, Liv McGill at 14. Ava Cupido had 9. Again, Ava out tonight due to illness, and I spoke with Alexis Garcia, one of the assistants. She noted the illness bug has afflicted the Royals as of late. Sophie Hawkinson led Wayzata with 22 points. Hopkins got out to an early lead. Wayzata was able to get within 6, so it wasn't a runaway game. And speaking with Julie Stewart, the head coach at Wayzata, the last 3 years, she said a lot of the games this year have been close, competitive. They played really well in that game with Minnetonka. Likewise, Hopkins, they were shooting hot from the floor in that first meeting with Minnetonka. Just a reminder of how tightly contested the Lake Conference and Class 4A is. At the start of the season and up to the midway point, Minnetonka looked like the team to beat. And they still could get there. But Hopkins and Wayzata both have victories over them, and that is going to make seeding the 4A field really interesting depending on who gets through. Here are the starters. For Wayzata, it's Marin Day, Kate Amelotte, Sophie Hawkinson, Sarah Hyde, and Katie Kelsenberg. Hopkins, no changes to their starting 5. It's Tatum Woodson, Lauren Hillesheim, London Harris, Liv McGill, the Florida commit, and Irma Walker. And some other players to keep an eye on. Cedra Williams for Hopkins, and Sam Johnson out of Wayzata. She's the younger sister of Jenna Johnson, who is having a fantastic career at Utah. Sam Johnson, remember the note we made about that national equestrian riding champion? That is Sam Johnson. And Katie Kelsenberg coming over from volleyball. She actually was part of the basketball program in her younger days. She's averaging 8.9 and has been a huge boost for the Trojans. Kelsenberg, part of that dynasty that is Wayzata volleyball, a team that has won the state volleyball tournament every year since we got out of the pandemic. Hopkins in their all-black attire. Wayzata wearing the white. You can't get any more black and white than that. I will show myself out. No gray area here. These are two high-caliber teams. Wayzata wins the tip. They take off running. Kelsenberg gets the offensive rebound. Remember, the Lake Conference already used to a shot clock. Kelsenberg under duress. Liv McGill with the steal. Liv, again, not only a terrific scorer, but a fantastic distributor. That's why she's going to Florida, and why she is one of the most highly coveted recruits in the 2024 class. This is Harris, out to McGill. 3-second call. The crowd for this year's game a little more diluted than last year, and that's not a knock on fan appreciation. I'm just a little surprised given the nature of this rivalry. Of course, when you have sellout crowds that Paige Beckers and Mara Braun brought to this rivalry, that does sway perceptions a little bit. Wayzata getting several chances in the early going, and they've had a tough time converting. This is Tatum Woodson, the kick out, 3 on the way, bullseye. Lauren Hillesheim, who's averaging 11.5. Wayzata, let's see if they can get locked in. 3-ball, corner pocket. Lauren Day. She averages 8.2. Again, for Wayzata, they don't have a superstar score, but any one of their starting 5 can rack up some numbers. Kate Amelotte had a season-high 29 points in the game earlier this season. As the ball bounces off of the baseline bleachers. Royals Athletic Center, host to a lot of basketball over the years. They are the host site for the Breakdown Tip-Off Classic, so I'm no stranger to this venue. Of course, I've been here for several regular season games too. Catch and shoot 3 doesn't go in for Hawkinson, and the rebound taken by Hillesheim. Woodson. London Harris cut a little too soon. And it's a free ball for the Trojans. Across the board, Wayzata Sports, usually a team you got to get through if you want to win it all. Boys basketball won state last year in 4A. Girls basketball has run into the roadblock that is Hopkins, and the soccer teams have done well. Volleyball, talked about their 3 straight state titles. That will be a foul on Amelotte. And once more, both rosters have just 1 senior. So there should be a lot of continuity set for next year's match, next year's rivalry. Tatum Woodson, step back 3, a bit long. Rebound, snakes its way to Harris for the putback. London Harris, the niece of Tamara Moore. Tatum Woodson times the inbound. McGill flips it in for 2. Got to watch out for that Hopkins press, and they force another inbound turnover. Hopkins loaded. Liv McGill having a word with the official. I'm guessing it's not a contentious word. Ref's just trying to get a feel for how this crew calls the game. Every crew's a little different. Walker bobbled the high-low pass. They go back out to McGill for a reset. They'll try again with Walker. The kick out to Harris. Attacks the baseline. Short. Rebound. Eventually scooped up by Sarah Hyde. And she's got a wide open lane. Woodson closes it up quickly. McGill with the lob to Hillesheim. That doesn't go in. Both teams trading missed opportunities on the fast break. But Hopkins does hold a 7-3 lead. Kelsenberg fouled by Walker.
Walker, her first Hopkins team foul.
Wayzata looking for an inbound target. Eventually they find one. This is Hawkinson looking for Kelsenberg and laced it a little too high. For the last several years, the Lake Conference has been defined by that group of 5. Hopkins, Wayzata, St. Michael, Aberville, Eden Prairie, and Minnetonka. Woodson launching the 3. Short, Hopkins saves it, but Harris surrounded by a sea of white, and she was engulfed. Hawkinson lost her footing, and Wayzata, they're looking a little out of sorts when it comes to ball security. Eden Prairie, they played Hopkins close a couple of times. I'm not sure they have the personnel to get out of Section 2, but it's not outside the realm of possibilities. St. Michael, Aberville, brought back just about everyone except for Tessa Johnson, who's part of the #1 team in the country at South Carolina. But they could win state again. Wayzata, extra pass in transition. Marinde with the finish. And whoever gets out of Section 6 figures to be a strong favorite. Liv McGill fouled. I do not believe it was in the act of shooting, and it does not appear to be the case. Liv McGill scored 1,000 points in her first game as a senior. It might seem surprising that she hasn't scored more, but remember, for all those years, no one had to put up 30 or 40 consistently. You had a starting 5 that all could come up big. Tatum Woodson. Foul by Kelsenberg. That last foul was the second on Amelotte. That's just the first on Kelsenberg. And this will send Tatum Woodson to the line, who's averaging 12.8 points per game this season.
For the Royals, number 5, Woodson, to shoot 2.
Tatum Woodson double jointed in her elbow. The younger sister of Taylor Woodson, who is at Michigan and as we speak playing Iowa, where Caitlin Clark just set the all-time NCAA women's scoring record. She was poised to perhaps break it on Sunday, but Nebraska put a stop to that. Nebraska is where Annika Stewart attends. Annika, the daughter of Julie Stewart, the head coach for Wayzata. 9-5 to score. Hopkins in front after Tatum Woodson hit her freebies. Marinde's 3. Missed everything. And Hopkins looking to push. Woodson beats her defender in Hawkinson. And Marinde tried to throw up a wall, but London Harris traversed that bridge. Hopkins again. They are relentless in their pursuit. McGill, 2 more. An official's timeout. I think, okay, maybe an injury, yes, to Terma Walker, and she is limping, grimacing a bit as she makes her way back to the bench. That's what it was for. So Lysedra Williams, one of the newcomers, will take her place. But it's Hopkins thriving right now. Kelsenberg's foul. She'll shoot 2. Kelsenberg, part of Wayzata volleyball, as we mentioned earlier, winning a state championship. The Trojans have won 3 in a row in girls volleyball, but Kelsenberg had some basketball background as well and decided to return to the hardwood. You don't see as many multi-sport athletes, although Wayzata seems to have several of them, but other schools like Hopkins, St. Michael Abbeville in the Lake, from my experience, as Malia White checks into the game for Hopkins, a lot of single sport athletes, and that is more, well, everyone subbing here. Allie Burns checking in. Part of it is enrollment. These Lake Conference schools have massive student bodies, so you have more players to draw from. Kelsenberg tipping away Woodson's pass. 12:06 left in the first half. 13-7 the score. Hopkins and Wayzata, both with wins over Minnetonka. Wayzata, they've run into a little more turbulence in Lake Conference play, which is another affirmation of how much parity there is. Tatum Woodson buries the 3, her first field goal, and Hopkins continues to hold the upper hand. They lead 16-7. I remember doing this last year with Alex Nagel. It was Wayzata that got the early jump, and Hopkins looking out of sorts. Liv McGill looking quite fluid there with the steal. Takes off running and will shoot 2. Liv McGill started her varsity career at Park Center with Adalia McKenzie, and has done quite well at Hopkins. Picked up the 1,000th point earlier this season. I'd say between her and Olivia Olson, that's what the race for Miss Basketball will come down to. Liv also doesn't mind rapping and singing outside of basketball. And all I can say is we're not worthy. She is a tremendous player. And someone who can make everyone around her better.
Walker returns.
Highest ranked recruit to go to Florida. And while Florida might seem like an odd choice, what do we have here?
Amelotte returns.
Sophie Hawkinson got blood on the jersey, so got to pull her out. Liv McGill makes both free throws, and Hopkins up 18-7 over Wayzata. Bounce pass. Wayzata having to go into the bench, but Julie Stewart did highlight her depth. A foul away from the ball as they try to get the three in play. Annika Kieser. Out on the floor, and Hillesheim will check in for Irma Walker. .27 in a game that has had a staggered flow. Everyone taking advantage of these substitution stoppages. It feels like a game of musical chairs. Amelotte throws it away. Kaiser wasn't able to catch up in time, and that seems to be the difference. Hopkins dialed in, Wayzata a bit sluggish. There's plenty of time for that to change, of course, but Hopkins, for a team that we thought might not be a favorite, White lines up a three. Consider this, Hopkins has yet to lose to a team in the state of Minnesota. Their only two losses came against Iowa teams, Dowling Catholic and Johnston. Two of the top programs in Iowa, so they've held their own. And everyone who thought the bottom would fall out perhaps should reconsider the priors. Woodson missing the three. And that isn't to say Hopkins is going to coast to the title. I don't think it's going to be easy for anyone in 4A, but getting a win over Minnetonka. Certainly assert yourself as the team to beat. The runner from Hawkinson offline. And Hopkins will take over on the dead ball rebound as soon as somebody can retrieve the ball, as it rolled all the way to one of the locker rooms. This is a spacious facility. One reason why it's used for the Tip-Off Classic every year. (18-7), just over 10 minutes left in the first half. Wayzata zoning up. McGill, the runner. Can't get the bounce, but Lysedra Williams is there for cleanup duty. Williams averaging 8.1 points per game. More pressure from Hopkins. Another swipe by McGill. Hillesheim with a step on the competition. And Hopkins mashing the accelerator and refusing to let go. 22-7. That would be a foul on McGill, but that seems to be the only problem Hopkins has had in this first half. They are running laps, running circles, running wild around Wayzata. Tipped inbound pass. McGill lost it. That was a great defensive adjustment by Hawkinson, and they needed that one. Otherwise, I think McGill would add to this runaway, and Wayzata just doesn't seem to look comfortable, settled in at all right now. Of course, all of that can change. But this feels like a reversal of the game we did last year, where Hopkins had to overcome adversity. Kelsenberg used up the dribble, throws it away again. Well, I shouldn't say she threw it away again, but Wayzata throws it away again. They just have not been able to find a workaround against that Hopkins press, that pressure defense that has defined them for so long. Whether it was Brian Cosgriff or Tara Starks running the ship. White, over to Harris. McGill. Harris again. White has had a circuitous path in high school hoops. 8 to shoot for the Royals. They've been swinging around the perimeter, and their pass is picked off by Hawkinson. She misses the layup. Day is there for the recovery. Did Wayzata need that one? They still have a ways to go, but they finally get a bucket to go in. McGill nearly picked off again. In fact, she is, and then a foul. Marin Day coming through once more. If she keeps this up, she's going to have a field day. I'm sure she's heard that more than once, but Marin doing some fine work. And then Wayzata hands it right back to Hopkins. McGill, oh, that would have been a highlight-worthy play. One of many on her mixtape. Wayzata will pick it up. I don't see too many videographers here.
Woodson returns.
McGill will take a breather. Tatum Woodson will check in. Let's see how Wayzata handles this, because it's rare to see Liv McGill on the bench. Wayzata got to make sure those passes are clean. Kelsenberg picked it up at the last moment. Couldn't get the bounce, though. It didn't look like she had the cleanest of positions. Woodson had that poked out of her grasp. It will stay with Hopkins. Wayzata starting to find the rhythm defensively. And one thing, Wayzata picking up on some of the passing patterns and routes of Hopkins. Here's a three from the corner. Marin Day cannot hit. Malia White with the rebound. 22-9, Hopkins over Wayzata. White to Woodson. Fakes the three. Amelotte with the reach. And the takeaway. But Hawkinson had to lean forward to pick up that bounce pass, that shovel pass. And again, Wayzata are leaving a few of these transition plays empty. That could hurt them later on as they're trying to get a win. They haven't beaten Hopkins since the 2017-18 season. And Tatum Woodson wants to keep it that way. A three-pointer should help. Ooh. I thought we had a little bit of chippiness brewing. And then these are conference rivals and section rivals. Backdoor play for Marinde. She's the one Wayzata player in any sort of rhythm right now. The problem is you're not going to beat Hopkins that way. Even if Hopkins doesn't have those first-name headliners that we were used to seeing. They've got girls who can play and could very well make a name for themselves the way their predecessors did. Williams looking for a lane, doesn't find one. Woodson, they inner area, going across is Woodson. Layup too strong. Amelotte flings it. Another errant pass. And Hopkins takes over. Lauren Hillesheim took a hard fall amidst the fracas, but Wayzata just isn't able to string together passes. Not the way I'm used to seeing them. We'll have a stoppage here, 5:44 to go in the first half as Lauren Hillesheim is being checked on by the trainers.
When the high school season is over, TSP Television goes on the highlight trail. Our highlight reels provide you with a valuable resource for recruiters and a keepsake of your favorite athlete. To learn more about our highlight reel services, contact us at tsptelevision@gmail.com.
Lauren Hillesheim gets back up and makes her way to the bench without any assistance. Maybe just took a hard hit and needs a moment or two to gather herself. That happened yesterday in the game I covered with Spring Lake Park and Park Center. Liv McGill checks back in, and Wayzata unable to capitalize on her bench time. Right now, Hopkins controlling this one. Harris used up the dribble, swarmed by Kelsenberg and Kaiser. Hawkinson. Well, if your shots aren't going in, make them count. Make them take notice. Hawkinson will go to the line. Make them respond to your dribble drives. Hawkinson, her nickname is Buttons. Also involved in track and soccer and getting involved in Club Unified. Of course, that organization near and dear to Mara Braun, who's now at Minnesota. And perhaps one of the most notable examples of Club Unified volunteering. Hawkinson gets on the board. And as much as Wayzata has struggled, if they can get a few possessions with some points here, cut into that deficit, as Alex Nagel would say, get it within 10, you're back in business. Tatum Woodson drifted that three to the right. Hawkinson, oh, player slipped. That was Kaiser, she gets back up. Hopkins deflecting to high-low. Look who's got it. Liv McGill needed a friendly bounce, but points are points. And Liv McGill's up to 8. Hopkins leads by 2 touchdowns, 27-13. Kaiser, 3-ball, corner pocket. Kaiser makes it 27-16. That's what Wayzata needs. More possessions that produce points, fewer that result in free balls to the perennial power that is Hopkins. McGill skips it, then Harris skips it over to Woodson. 7 to shoot, wanted the 3, tries the runner again, offline. Kaiser Needs help. Finds it in Allie Burns. Traveling call. Wayzata still agitated with 3:32 left in the first half. I decided to use a timeout. If you're curious, Hopkins out of fouls to give. McGill with the shuffle pass to Williams. Tried to make something happen there, couldn't do so. Keyser to Hawkinson. Arnday looking for the entry play to Kelsenberg, but she got tripped up by the Hopkins defense. McGill putting a move on Keyser, and they will count it. I was waiting for the signal. Liv McGill, such a confident attacker. I've seen her pull off that move many times in high school, in summer ball. There is rarely a moment where she isn't in control of the situation. Has a big following as she converts the three-point play, and her playmaking a big reason for that. Has a state championship to her credit with what she did as a sophomore for Hopkins. Wouldn't mind another one. Blocking foul underneath. Okay, Liv's following. Maybe not as big as I thought. Still bigger than mine though, and let's be real, 7,835 followers on Instagram is nothing to sneeze at. Fouls on Harris, and with Hopkins in the penalty, Wayzata will have a chance to score some points at the line. This is Keyser, who's averaging 5.2. This is 1-1. No, it was a shooting foul. Okay, I stand corrected. I didn't see that initially. Wayzata gets the rebound. Keyser sinks the 14-footer for the reverse three-point play. And that makes it 30-19. Anything to give Wayzata some momentum. A boost in morale. McGill, a beauty of a pass to Williams. And that is what makes her so effective and so lethal as a ball handler. Pulling off those no-look passes like nothing at all. I know we're a day late for the Hart references. Valentine's Day's behind us, but still. Foul on Hopkins, and more free throws coming for Wayzata. That's the second on McGill. Will she be subbed out? I don't see anybody. I think they'll keep her in. McGill, one of the most astute players out there, though, so I don't think you're going to worry too much about her picking up a third. And that will be, well, ultimately an empty possession and a foul on Wayzata. There have been some close battles over the years, including overtime last year in the section final, but for about 6 years now, Hopkins seems to have Wayzata's number. And we spoke of this in some earlier games. Making a move was Hyde, Sarah Hyde, swooping in to get in front of that high-low pass. And Wayzata gets a turnover. Forces one, I should say. But it's hard to really... Hawkinson putting a move on her defender. Marinde drills the three. I was going to say, it's hard to get your name out when you don't have those state tournament appearances. That is what Wayzata hopes to change. McGill traveled. And this is where Wayzata could mount something of sustenance. Hawkinson, illegal screen set by Kelsenberg. Offensive foul, so no free throws. And that's going to be the second on Kelsenberg. McGill. To White, back to McGill. Back shoulder throw to Williams. Initially swatted away. And then a fortuitous bounce in the direction of Williams for the layup. Shot clock is off. Wayzata facing the press again. They get out of it. And then another traveling violation. This one on Sam Johnson. With the bane of every ball handler, that elephant step. Making the move before you start the dribble. So Hopkins can hold for one more, and I was talking about momentum, flow, possibly going into Wayzata's column. Hopkins can ensnare it to themselves. McGill for three, yes! Liv with 14 points. Wayzata having trouble. They throw it away. That stifling pressure defense. A staple for many, many years at Hopkins. And no matter who the coach is, they seem to run it well. McGill got tripped up, but a strong half for Hopkins nonetheless. Ending it with authority. They lead 37-22. And Wayzata at times looking almost completely unprepared to handle that aggressive, stifling posture that Hopkins assumes on defense. But Wayzata trailed by 15 in the first meeting in the first half before making a fight of it. We'll see if they can replicate that feat when we return. You're watching high school girls basketball. Hopkins leads Wayzata 37-22.
Twin Cities Sports Broadcasting, and a whole lot more. That's what you get from TSB Television. We provide long-lasting digital coverage of your favorite athletes from the preps to the pros. Dazzling moves.
Holloman, good if it goes. Yes!
Game winners.
James, she's in trouble. Finds James, toss shot, it goes in!
And everything in between. Before we let you go, do you want to say hi to anybody?
Oh, I don't know. That put me on the spot there.
If you want to connect with our audience, visit us at patreon.com/TSB Television or sponsor our coverage through PayPal and Cash App. Thank you for watching.
We are back at the Royals Athletic Center where Hopkins has taken command of this game against Wayzata 37-22. First half numbers go something like this. Liv McGill leads Hopkins with 14 points. Tatum Woodson with 8. Lacedra Williams with 6 off the bench. Wayzata, 12 points from Marinde, 6 from Annika Kieser. And that's about it. Wayzata just having a difficult time adapting, responding, getting around that Hopkins pressure defense, neutralizing its effect. However you describe it, that's what the second half's going to come down to. If Hopkins can find a way around the press, execute a few more transition looks, they have a chance. Otherwise, Hopkins could run away with this. And I see one of their alumni is getting some photos, video. That's Amaya Battle, who is off tonight from her other duties. Amaya getting into photography and having a word with the official. Amaya Miss Basketball Minnesota in 2022 and has been part of the Minnesota roster since. Tatum Woodson fires the three and drills it from the key. Tatum Woodson. I see ya. Well, Tatum, again, one of the many players who maybe didn't get an opportunity to shine, illuminate the room the way her D1 predecessors did, including Taylor. And she comes up with a steal as Wayzata seemingly trounced again. McGill is fouled. She'll shoot two. And Hopkins in complete control of this one. And what do we have here? A technical foul. So a foul on Hawkinson and then a technical. The technical was assessed to Sarah Hyde. So we're going to have technical free throws and then common foul free throws. Or the other way around. Either way, Liv McGill's going to shoot a lot of free throws here. Car starts. We'll have a word with the official. Liv McGill, 3 30-point games, including 30 in the season opener against Davenport North, the game where she scored her 1,000th point. Okay, I stand corrected. The technical was on Liv. That's her third. I saw 2 23s, and it was hard to tell. I heard a second whistle, but no way to know who is in there. And unlike the NBA, we don't have microphones that the officials can speak into to explain it to the rest of us. So there must have been some words exchanged between Hawkinson and McGill. Amelotte made both free throws for Wayzata, but more importantly, Liv McGill picked up a third foul, and got to be careful. He's not a player you want to have in foul trouble. Kate Amelotte finally scores on a take. Really, you could say that about a lot of Wayzata players. Tatum Woodson has had some trouble on the drives. Irma Walker threw up a prayer. It wasn't answered directly, but she will have a chance to score some points at the line. It's on Kelsenberg, her third. Irma Walker, her fun fact, she said, my left eye is worse than my right eye. I'm guessing it's in reference to her vision, but age is the bane of all of us when it comes to that. Quite the player, though. Got some time last year as an 8th grader and has continued building on that this year, averaging 7 points per game. Maybe doesn't score at the same rate that Liv or Tatum Woodson have, but one of those players who I think we'll hear a lot about. What is going on? That's the third or fourth time Wayzata has thrown the ball away on an inbound. I would expect that to be a more likely scenario for a team that maybe isn't at Wayzata's stature, but I guess that's a sign of how tough, how excruciatingly difficult it is with that defense. But they come up with a block on McGill. Kick out pass too soft. Hillesheim snatches it. McGill drives and one. And Liv not going to back off from her celebratory mood. I think she's going to be a little careful, though. Already having picked up one technical, you don't want a second. And I think you know why. But Liv not afraid to flex her muscle. No three-point play, but Irma Walker scrapping for the O-board. That was the first miss from Hopkins at the free throw line. But why settle for one when you can get three? Wayzata coughs it up again. Wayzata calls a timeout, but Hopkins running away with this one, 49-26 the score. All right, I was looking down at my notes, updating the free throw numbers, so I did double check the scoring. And now I can tell you Liv McGill with 18 points, Tatum Woodson with 14. Tatum having a terrific junior season. And where that will lead, who knows? Her season high is 24. Liv, her season high is 36. But she has amassed her highest total of the season, I should say. McGill picking up that 36-point effort against Providence Academy, a game where Providence tied it up after falling behind significantly, and then Liv McGill helped them coast to the finish line. 3 30-point games for Liv McGill. The most recent one, 32 against Eden Prairie in a tight one. Wayzata connects on the outlet, but Lauren Hillesheim swipes it away again. McGill. Walker trails for the score. McGill had it broken up. Wayzata again cannot connect in the fast break play. Walker got a piece of that rejection. How did Wayzata get that backdoor play off? Allie Burns scores, but Wayzata has a long way to go if they want to catch Hopkins. I've seen this rivalry for a few years. I haven't seen it this one-sided. High-low, Walker retrieves and is fouled late. What a second half with 15-18 left. They do call it a shooting foul, or at least that's what Walker believes. But the officials are not lining up that way, and Walker will actually sub out. It will be a side out. The public address announcer was thinking, like I did, that perhaps it was a shooting foul. Walker certainly thought so. She'll sub out for now. Hopkins ball. Woodson goes out to Williams, 3 to shoot. Woodson, got to get rid of it. I don't know if that was off in time. They're going to give it to Woodson. From here, I wasn't sure. I thought her hand was still on the ball when the buzzer went off. Amelotte is fouled. We don't have a way to review it. So that will count as a jumper for Woodson. In a closer game, I think that would draw more scrutiny. Right now, Wayzata, they just need to get anything going. And we know they can do it. This team beat Minnetonka, after all. They did drop a close one with Eden Prairie and had a tough time keeping up with STMA, who we'll see on Tuesday. Woodson called for the walk. 53-30. Back door. Oh, the clutch move might have cost Wayzata there. Sarah Hyde in position, but she couldn't put it through. McGill for three. Sprinting for the loose ball. Picked up her own miss. Woodson. High low to Williams. And Lecedra has 8. I remember seeing Lecedra a few years ago at Crystal Flint's triple threat event. And again, one of the many newcomers. Wayzata will shoot 2 more. That's Amelotte. And Hopkins is doing this without Ava Cupido.
Woodson, her 4th. Flip Hopkins, 2 foul.
Tatum Woodson picks up her 4th foul. That could be a problem. Kate Amelotte to the line. Knocks down the front end. When she's not doing basketball and soccer, will take up water sports. At her cabin in Wisconsin. The sophomore averaging 14.2 points per game. And one of the many players who should keep Wayzata at a competitive level over the next several years. She's racking up points at the free throw line, and a foul is called on Hawkinson. So Tatum Woodson has her 4th, and she checked out. Tara Starks going to preserve her. And remember, McGill has 3 after being assessed the technical at the start of the second half. 55-32. Harris to Hillesheim. Woodson, or McGill, I should say, looking for the runner short. Rebound Amelotte. Hawkinson, I think, was looking for Kelsenberg, but they didn't quite hook up. McGill tries again and is true on the runner this time. 20 points for Liv, the lifeblood of this Hopkins team. I remember talking with her during opening weekend, and she took note, and some of the other Hopkins faithful have as well, taking issue with a few of us who thought they were going to have a down year, perhaps underestimating them. Well, they're back. I don't think they ever left. Kelsenberg, count it. She's on the board as far as field goals are concerned. Again, for Wayzata, if they want to run, if they want to get something going, it has to come soon. That is the first on Williams. Kelsenberg completes the three-point play. Both teams shooting exceptionally well from the free throw line. Driving kick, Harris through the right side and in. London Harris with 6 points. Amelotte used up their dribble, tried to thread it to Teaser, and again, Wayzata just looks sloppy with these passing routes. They don't look composed, poised, unwavering, any of that. Unflinching. Highly unusual. Hopkins will call a timeout. Their first. 12:08 left in the second half. So Liv McGill with 20 points. She's had more than her share of 20-point games this season. In fact, going back to the Eden Prairie game, she has 4 or more. Would have added a few more games to that streak, but she only scored 9 against Buffalo. Buffalo, one of the bottom feeders in the Lake Conference, the one that maybe got the raw end of the deal. Edina having a tough time as well. But Liv McGill had 33 points against Davenport North. Came up with 26 in that 1-point win over Lakeville North at the Tip-Off Classic. 36 against Providence Academy, 32 against Eden Prairie. So Liv McGill who's averaging 22.2. She's not getting these big games against the cellar dwellers, the second-tier teams. She is doing it against some of the best in Minnesota and Iowa. Remember that Davenport North team had Journey Houston and Divine Burridge in their ranks. Providence Academy, they've got Madden Greenway, and that game, a sellout at St. Benedict. Highly emotional, lots of enthusiasm. Hopkins getting one back after Providence pulled off the surprise win against them a year ago. And the last high school battle between Madden Greenway and Liv McGill, they might run into each other again at the college circuit, but they won't face off again at the high school level. I did that game last year, still one of my favorite memories. And Hopkins making plenty of memories here. McGill to Hillesheim for three. Hillesheim with 8, and Hopkins has taken off. I don't think they're going to be looking back. McGill just running all over this Wayzata team, gets the rebound. She's got numbers, looking to take it herself. Yes! Underestimate Liv McGill at your own risk. This is a thorough beatdown that we're seeing out of Hopkins. And any game can have a myriad of outcomes. No three-point play, but depending on how any of those circumstances go, that can affect the tenor of the game. And just way too many turnovers for Wayzata. You can't build any momentum, rhythm, flow. You can't find your voice when you're having a hard time hanging on to that ball. Entry pass deflected. Kelsenberg. 3 on the way, short. It's White with the rebound. McGill one-on-one. Look out. Left it short this time. Hillesheim trails, but also short. Rebound, Annika Kieser. Amelotte, spin move, travel. I'm used to seeing these kinds of scores from Hopkins against teams maybe like a Buffalo or Edina that aren't quite up to snuff. Hopkins demolished Como Park on Tuesday, 102-29. Como not the program they once were, but against Wayzata, McGill off the screen. White muffed the pass initially. Hillesheim. This kid has plenty of heart. McGill long on the 3. White with the O-board. McGill driving kick. White will give it a go. Short. Amelotte gets the rebound, but Lauren Hillesheim, she has 8 points. And one of the leading scorers for Hopkins. One of those kids that has blossomed. At the start of the year, at the risk of plugging myself or going into a narcissistic point of view, I did note that we were going to perhaps hear about some players who had been patiently biding their time for this opportunity. And Hillesheim seems to be making the most of it. I have a feeling she's going to be playing somewhere at the college ranks. At what level, that remains to be seen. But I like this kid's heart, hustle, grit, determination. And when I spoke with Alexis Garcia beforehand, she had a highly positive demeanor about Lauren and all the other players. Liv McGill, well, can't get them all. Wayzata on the run. Allie Burns with the flip. And then a foul. That's going to put Liv McGill at the line. And she's pointing to the board. She knows. 9:18 left in the second half. And Liv McGill, what more can you say? 22 points. Hopkins has yet to lose in the lake. Empty possession, but I don't think Hopkins has much to worry about. Tuesday's game's going to be a lot of fun. That'll be the last time Liv McGill and Jacayla Kraft will face off. Those two are best of friends. Last time they faced off in high school. They may see each other again in college. Elbow J for Wayzata. That's Marin Day, who has yet to score in the second half. And she won't score there. McGill to White. Ooh, foul on Day. Got the block on White, but made contact. We saw something like this a few weeks ago with the Holy Angels Duluth Marshall game, where the block was clean, but you can't run into the shooter. You got to give shooter space to land. You can't run into them on the follow through, and White to shoot two. Again, a circuitous path in varsity basketball. Started at Maranatha Christian Academy, then played at De La Salle for a year or two, and then came over to Hopkins. She can also do a backflip, which is something I cannot do. White's on the board. And for Malia, she's had to work through a lot. There have been some times where she wasn't able to play, but Wayzata scores at Hawkinson. I do remember the year she was at De La Salle, hit a couple of big threes. Tatum Woodson back on the floor, and the way Hopkins has been able to maintain their pace, their rhythm, even when Woodson having to go to the bench, and McGill, who will go back to the line to shoot 1 and 1. I think that is the most telling observation I can say about Hopkins and how strong they are as a team. I was here years ago when Paige Beckers was a senior, and you had massive crowds. I'll never forget the road game with Farmington. Sellout crowd there. And even several of the home games toward the end. We may not have that kind of crowd tonight, but those who are here are getting another outstanding effort from Liv McGill and company. As Liv knocks down both freebies, that puts her at 24 points. And Hopkins leads 67-39. And she might get a couple more here. She will, on the assist, that is. White with her first field goal. And that about, I was going to say, almost sums up how this game has gone for Wayzata. Basketball is a strange one. You can have games where you're in the thick of it until the end. You can have games where nothing goes right and you get a good old-fashioned butt kicking. No two meetings are alike. And I've seen some games where teams didn't shoot well enough to hang around, and others where they shoot the lights out, like Hopkins did in that first meeting with Minnetonka. Wayzata got the split against them, and they have one more game. That's against St. Michael Abbeville a week from Friday. Should be a good tune-up for them. Sophie Hawkinson connects on the left wing three. It won't be enough to get the win tonight, but you do like to see Wayzata scrapping as best they can, because they know we'll probably get a third meeting with Hopkins, so whatever happens here, it's another learning opportunity. Williams, that's the second time she has converted a high-low play. This time, Hillesheim set her up. Williams at 10. Lysedra, the 6'1 sophomore, she and Walker, I think, are going to be quite the post tandem over the next couple of years. The way Mayanaja was for the Royals. Wayzata calls timeout, 7:29 left in the second half. Williams will shoot a free throw out of the break.
61. Wayzata 66.
The Hopkins and Wayzata boys teams locked in a tight one. Hopkins beat Wayzata in the first meeting of that series and has thrown 4A for a loop. More than a few of us had said maybe not Hopkins wins the title this year, or at least is not the odds-on favorite. I've said right now in 4A, it could be whoever goes on a hot streak, but when you look at the resume that Hopkins has put together, they're going to sweep Wayzata. They already have one win against Minnetonka. They have a chance to sweep STMA and Minnetonka next week. All of those people, and I do have to include myself to a degree, who thought they might take a step back, I think we're getting a reminder of all of the variables we can't always see. Every year is different, and you don't know who's going to move in, move out, who's going to step up. And it's great to see Hopkins continue this tradition. We figured this was going to be the year that really asserted the kinds of techniques and philosophies of Tara Starks when she came in. She had a lot of great players, and she had a hand in that, because before she took the Hopkins job, she was part of the Metro Stars AAU organization. And remember, her daughter played at Hopkins, TT. So she's no stranger to this community. But for those who thought, well, she had great players that she inherited, Tatum, Woodson, adding 3 more. McGill picks up another dime. She did have a lot of talent, but I think this season is highlighting her acumen. Sophie Hawkinson says right back at you. That puts her up to 10. Woodson again, Kelsenberg with the block. 75-45 is the score.
Returns.
Williams with the post up on Kelsenberg, not that time. "13-footer, yes! And the foul for Kate Amelotte. Won't be enough time for Wayzata to claw their way back in this game, but again, they have one more tune-up next week with St. Michael Albertville. So they can't hang their heads for long as Amelotte completes the three-point play. That gets her to 11. 75-48. McGill and Woodson leading the way, steering the ship. McGill had that pocket picked. You don't see that often, a thievery on one of the top point guards in the state. And we'll stay with Wayzata, 5:56 left on the clock. And Wayzata, it had some lean years until Mike Schumacher helped build this program up. Julie Stewart taking over after Mike stepped down. And they've had some lumps along the way, but again, that split with Minnetonka is a reminder that they too could throw a surprise. Hillesheim with the fast break score. She's up to 10. Amelotte, well, she's surging a little more. Perhaps not quickly enough, though. She had I don't think she had scored. No, she hadn't scored at all in the first half. Lauren Hillesheim isn't done, though. Adds another 3. Hopkins with 80. They scored 102 against Como Park. They've scored 80 or more in their last 4 games. Marindé gets the layup to fall, as we're seeing a little backyard basketball, a little all-star game vibe right now. Now a collision. Amelotte with 13 second-half points for Wayzata, but it won't be enough to get the win. Sam Johnson will check back in. I go back to what Eric and I were saying, and even some of the state tournament broadcasters, everyone was saying, is this the last year of the Hopkins train, the Hopkins ride? Well, we can't always predict what will happen in the postseason, but based on the performance in the regular season, that answer, a definite no. McGill ahead to Woodson. Williams step through, walled off by Keyser. And shooting free throws will be, trying to get a number, Hawkinson. And so the resume, the case that Hopkins has made this year, again, speaks to all of the things we don't always see that can define a team's trajectory. And this is why we keep coming back. That's the beauty of sport. You can make proclamations and predictions, and you might be right most of the time. But much like yesterday's snowstorm, there is always the element of variability, unpredictability that hampers even the best of prognosticators. It's a split. Ooh, Keyser left that one short. It will stay with Wayzata. Who knows if Hopkins will win another state championship. They've had a boatload of them in girls basketball, the three-peat. From 2011 through 2013, winning again in 2015, 2019, 2004, 2006, 2022. That is, by my count, 8. And for all those years, Class 4A boiled down to one question. Could you get through Hopkins? This runaway win over Wayzata is another step suggesting it could very well come down to that question again. McGill scores the runner. She's up to 26. Three on the way for Amelotte. Doesn't go through. White tipping the rebound to McGill. We saw them at the start of the season when, oh my goodness, when McGill would pull off beautiful dimes like that. White has 5 points. Double dribble call. With 3 minutes to go, 84-53 to score. And Williams will check in. I saw them in the win over Davenport North when all of these inquiries were still left to be answered. And it looks like Wayzata will bring in some of the second stringers. I see Ellie Howard in there now, the sophomore. And Julie Stewart, again, highlighted the depth of this Wayzata team. They only have one senior, much like Hopkins. So we could easily see these two in the thick of it again in Section 6 next year. And even though I haven't been able to see Hopkins with my own 2 eyes for the last couple of months until now, as Tatum Woodson goes up to 21. Perhaps it's apropos that we get this bookend to see how they look after adding statement win after statement win. Marindé sinking the 3 for Wayzata. She's up to 17. Hopkins beating the likes of Providence Academy, Maple Grove. They're going to sweep Wayzata. They swept Eden Prairie. And Liv McGill giving us an encore. 28 for the Florida-bound senior. 1-point win over Lakeville North, a team that split them in the summer leagues. De La Salle, a team that could be in the running in Class 3A. They beat Minot, one of the top teams in North Dakota. Maple Grove, they got to the finish line first. Their only two losses coming against teams outside the state. That win streak was snapped, wins against Minnesota teams that is, last year by Providence Academy, and then St. Michael Albertville, as you know, held on for dear life to win last year's state championship. As the backups are in there, Jessica Howe. Jessica Howe, that's how you say it, will add 3 points to her total for the season, that is. McGill still out on the floor. Other players, Nora Ivy, number 10, number 22, Ava Smith, and there's Malia White. She wants 3 more, won't get it. For Wayzata, we are seeing Lindsay Harvey, number 11. That's number 21, who Liv McGill sends away. Tessa Frank and Liv McGill will check out now. Aisha Mohammed Squires will check in, as will Cece Adler. Hopkins pulled away in the first half and flat out dominated. They left no question as to who the stronger team was tonight, and giving us another authoritative answer on who the team to beat in Section 6-4A is going to be. And very well, the team to beat in Class 4A. We'll see what St. Michael, Albertville, and Minnetonka bring next week, but a big win over Wayzata should instill a good dose of confidence. Wayzata scores on the fast break. Howe with 5 quick ones off the bench. So a highlight for Jess Howe, who, that's a new season high for her, by the way. She only had 3 points, so not that high of a bar, but still, he'll take it. Here's a 3. Adler looking for it. Offensive rebound. Kick out pass tipped, taken away. Wayzata looking for one more. They feed Howe again, long 2, not there. Wayzata crashing the glass a little bit, but ultimately lose the ball, and I think Hopkins, well, they're going to throw it away themselves, but that's all right. And we're going to have free throws here for Wayzata to wrap this up in all likelihood. Liv McGill will finish just 1 point shy of her 4th 30-point game this season, but I don't think 29 is anything to sneeze at. Tatum Woodson will finish with 21, and Ellie Howard will add a point. This Wayzata could not find a way to neutralize that Hopkins defense, that patented stifling approach that has stymied so many teams over the last decade plus, going on 20 years now. And Hopkins completes the sweep of Wayzata, 89-62. They go to 22-2, remain undefeated in late conference play, and set themselves up nicely for a big week to close out the regular season. 89-62 the final. This is high school girls basketball. Hopkins wins another one to extend a winning streak that began on December 19th. And we're joined by Liv McGill and Tatum Woodson, both scoring 20-plus tonight in Hopkins' runaway win over Wayzata, getting the conference sweep. Liv, we'll start with you, 29 points. I remember speaking with you in the season opener, and you talked about how a sense of underestimation being the fuel for this season to sweep Wayzata. In fact, you haven't lost to a Minnesota team at all this season. What do you think that says about how much this Hopkins team has been able to gel?
It just says a lot about us. You know, we stick together. We don't really let the outside voices get in, but we're working and we're not done yet. So as long as we stay together and we play together, we'll be good.
Good would be an understatement tonight, especially on the defensive side. And over the years, no matter who leads the way, that pressure defense, which wreaks havoc on a lot of teams, did so against Wayzata. You pulled away, and unlike the first meeting, turned it into a runaway. How were you able to keep that defensive pressure up and use it to fuel all that offense you put up?
Yeah, our defense really fuels our offense. You know, we get a lot of run-out points and transition points. So when we start the game with defense or when we pressure, it's hard for teams to get past our pressure, you know. So that's what we take pride in every day at practice. And so when we come out here, our coaches expect us to do it, and we expect each other to do it. And so today I feel like we did a little bit better job.
And how would you say you've evolved as a point guard this year? Because the last couple of years you had folks like Nunu and Taylor, Tatum's older sister, and Amaya Battle, who is visiting tonight. And the way you were playing, it seems like, you know, Lauren and Tatum and I think even Lacedra Williams, it feels like we're going to be hearing a lot about them in the next few years, but it seems like no matter who's on the floor with you, you know where to find them, how to hook them up. How do you think you've evolved as a passer this year and being able to set up your teammates no matter who they might be?
Yeah, I think it just comes with chemistry. Like you said, the players before me, Amaya, point guard, you know, I learned from her for 2 years. So just knowing my personnel and knowing where my teammates like to get their shots at, where their spots are, that's what I feel like I improved on, and just being a leader and communicating with them.
And not to mention a little toughness, too. You had a little scuffle. I wouldn't say a scuffle, but you had a moment there where things got a little dicey, and then you got back in, got settled in, locked in, and put in a few moves yourself. How would you say you have grown as a leader this year to keep steering that ship even when things get a little bumpy?
Yeah, just always being poised. You know, I know my teammates are looking up to me. They're always looking at me, so keeping the straight face, you know, and just being the second coach on the floor is really a big thing. So just keeping that poise and knowing when to take a shot, when to make the right pass, and, you know, those type of things.
And Tatum, you had to manage some foul trouble for a little while, but that didn't stop you from putting up 21 points. How would you say you've grown this season, coming off a couple of years where you were watching and learning from your predecessors?
I think it's just taking into account all the time that I spent watching them as a youngin'. I really just wanted to go get it for my team, you know. We have this goal set in mind, and we want to accomplish it. So really it's whatever means necessary for us this year.
How exciting is it to get a sweep against Wayzata in this matter, and what do you think it says about the competitive ability of this Hopkins team?
I mean, like you said, the first time we met them, we were already up by 20. They just came back. This doesn't mean anything for us. We're just trying to accomplish a goal. You know, this just sends a message, and we're just really just trying to win state. So whatever means necessary.
And I was talking to Liv about this, but you, Lauren Hillesheim, even Lacedra Williams, some players that I think for a while have been waiting for this opportunity to show what they can do. How do you think you've accomplished that this season?
I mean, it's chemistry. We're all really excited for this season. We all love playing together with each other. And, I mean, when our time's out there, we want to do the best we can, and that reflected tonight. And,
Liv, I know your next game will be the last regular season game with one of your best buddies, Jakayla. Do you have anything for her on Tuesday?
I do not. We'll see STMA then.
All right. That sounds like a diplomatic answer. I wanted to ask you a little bit. I heard you're quite the singer, too. Do you have any favorite tunes you like to belt out?
Nah, nobody's supposed to know that. I don't sing for real. I just be trolling.
You just be trolling. I don't believe that for a second. I think you're underestimating yourself. Well, before we go, do you want to say hi to anybody?
Hey, Mom. Hey, Rain. Hey, Jazz. Who you want to say?
What about you, Tatum?
Hey, Taylor. That's really it. Hey, Taylor.
Hey, Taylor. She's not going to watch this.
Well, she might watch this later. I know
she
might. She's playing Iowa right now, so she can't watch this at this moment, but maybe later. Well, Thanks for stopping by. Congrats on the win, and we'll see you Tuesday.
Thank you.
See you then.
Liv McGill and Tatum Woodson. That wraps up our coverage here from the Royals Athletic Center. For the rest of our crew, I'm Mike Beaton. Thanks for watching.